Michael Andretti flashes across the line. Rick Mears continues his pursuit just behind. Roger Penske holds his breath as they go past. The leader, Michael Andretti. Let's ride with him and watch. Above 12,000 RPM. Roger Penske watches.
You can see by watching Michael's in-car cam how well his car's handling. He has very little steering wheel movement. See his hands, hardly any movement to them, just a little bit of vibration. He's really, really handling good right now.
Michael Andretti completes 226 laps of the 250 laps scheduled distance of the Michigan 500. He's out in front. We'll be back. Back at the Michigan 500 with 20 laps to go now. 40 miles left in the distance to be run. A long, hard day once again. The Michigan 500 continues to be a remarkable event. Right now it is this Pennzoil car of Rick Mears as he chases Michael Andretti. Will Michael be the first two-time winner of the Michigan 500, or will Rick Mears score his first victory? These laps are unraveling at blistering speed. They've been running right up at 220 miles an hour as Rick Mears makes the try once again. He's down inside and alongside Michael. Pushes his way past in the second turn. Solidifies the lead coming off of 2.
That was a 217-mile-an-hour lap, Paul, which means we both know they can run faster, and that means they're both trying to save a little bit of fuel. So the racing's not over by a long ways yet.
Of course, Bobby Unser, these cars are getting very light as well as they burn their fuel load down. The weight of the car changes over 280 pounds as it goes from full tank down to empty.
Certainly does, Paul, and they get faster as they get empty, so we know they can run a little bit faster than that, and it might be Rick just shifting down into his GO gear now from his cruise gear.
Rick Mears' wife, Chris Mears, on the two-way radio, talks to her husband as they come to the backstretch again. Michael Andretti is in pursuit. Michael Andretti chases Rick Mears across the stripe once again. 233 laps are complete. Shades of the Indianapolis 500. Two great drivers as they chase one another around this track. Let's get an update now, though, on the condition of Phil Kruger. Here's Jack Arute.
Well, we checked at the Horton Medical Center with the officials of CART, and here's what they have told us on Phil Kruger. He is being airlifted from here to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and the McCauley Medical Center. When quizzed as to whether Phil Kruger was conscious or unconscious, they refused to answer those questions and said all they could tell us at this time is that he is being transferred to Ann Arbor, Michigan, to the McCauley Medical Center, Paul.
Not necessarily the report that we had hoped for on Phil Kruger. I really wish it could be more detailed than that. That's an excellent medical center. It's only about 15 minutes away by air here. They are bypassing a local hospital in Jackson to go direct to that medical center service. We'll continue to strive to get answers from CART so that we can tell you the situation with regard to Phil Kruger. Now the situation. Rick Mears is out in front of Michael Andretti. These are the only two cars running together on the course right now. Third place is Teo Fabi. He is 3 laps or 6 miles behind this battle for the lead here in the Newman Haas pit. They continue to worry and work their car around the track. Both crews have to concern themselves with fuel. They are both stretching their fuel tanks to the limit, though they picked up a tremendous advantage with the long caution period for the Phil Kruger-John Jones accident.
And just remember, Paul, they're both on the same lap. They're both in similar situations where they're fuel. So they just really have nothing to do but gamble for it and go for it. And remember, they have 3 laps or at least 2 laps on the next car behind them. So the worst they could do is still finish where they are.
Well, so far, Rick Mears has proven that he is very capable. He has a lap in the record book at 222.7 miles an hour. The only man that has been faster is Emerson Fittipaldi, who has been above 223. But Fittipaldi is not in this fight. It is strictly between Michael and Rick Mears.
Ed Nathan of Michael Andretti's team. Chris Bowen.
26 miles to go. Nathan continues to run. Is this the same situation that we saw at the conclusion of the Indianapolis 500? There it was Emerson Fittipaldi chasing Al Unser Jr. Down to 2 laps to go before they touched. Comes to the inside as they come to the backstretch off of 2 as Mears slows down. Michael Andretti picks up the lead. Rick Mears, perhaps what Chris was reacting to was something that Rick said even before the car slowed. As Rick Mears is slowing on the course, the question is fuel. Rick Mears, that bright yellow car, slowing as Michael Andretti comes across the stripe and picks up the lead officially.
And keep another thing in mind. Michael still may have a problem himself. We assume that Rick has a fuel problem, just ran out of fuel. We're not too sure that Michael's going to make it either. Remember, Mario came in a little bit earlier, decided to take on fuel just for a gamble such as this.
Rick Mears rolls in. Jack is there.
Well, Rick Mears has pulled the car. It is still running. They're not filling it with fuel. They're in the back of the car where it looks as if it could be maybe a CV joint. But the yellow flag has been displayed, which is a break for them. They are still looking over the back of the car, trying to determine what the problem is. Obviously, yes, it looks like it must be a constant velocity joint. He has turned it off.
So the engine goes off on Rick Mears' car as the yellow flag comes out. Michael Andretti is the leader of the race, and no indication as to why the yellow may have been turned on. The equipment rolls on the course. And in the Newman Haas pits, now what will be the decision? Will they bring Michael in and top him off on fuel and not take a chance? He passes the pit lane there with 16 miles to go.
Ryan,
what would you do, Bobby?
Well, remember, he'll double or possibly triple his mileage under a yellow flag. So this totally changes it. And the guys in there will really be thinking quick. My guess is they'll probably leave him out if they think it's going to be a long yellow.
Let's go to the pits and Brian Hammond.
Well, Michael Andretti is not going to pit under this yellow flag. You can conserve fuel, obviously, under a yellow, but they're not going to come in. They're going to stay out of the racetrack and go for the finish. Paul?
Michael Andretti on the backstretch. Does he now have this race wrapped up? Rick Mears with something more than fuel and something that apparently he was able to report as he went past on his two-way radio back to his pit. And Phil Kruger being loaded into the ambulance helicopter here just outside the medical facility at Michigan International for the short flight over to Ann Arbor, the medical center there. And we will continue to strive to get information on Phil Kruger's condition. As yet, it has not been passed to us by the medical officials here or by CART. Report on the yellow is a result of an engine that let go on Scott Brayton's machine. And they wanted to make sure that the course was perfectly safe to run on, no oil laid down. And they should be able to go back to green flag racing very quickly.
The kind of thing that just happened to Rick Mears is what has been happening to Michael Andretti so far this year. And as we have a look right here, you will see that sudden movement by Rick Mears' car, which signals the braking of that CV joint. He did a beautiful job to keep the car under control, because what in effect happens when a CV joint breaks is that suddenly all of your power is being transmitted to only one of the rear wheels. Watch it, there it is. He did a beautiful job keeping the car under control. You see how close he got to the outside of the racing line.